So hi and welcome everyone to our back to school webinar with NephCure. I'm Montrez Lucas, the Associate Director of Patient Navigation at NephCure. I've been at NephCure since October, it feels like longer in a good way, since October 2022. As the Associate Director of Patient Navigation, I connect our patient and families with various resources, including 504 plans, as well as IEPs. And I also work with them to advocate for their students as well as themselves with financial resources, mental health support, and insurance access, as well as currently clinical trials, genetic testing, and second opinions when necessary. But this particular webinar, in the spirit of returning back to school, yay for no longer being in school, sorry. In the spirit of returning back to school, NephCare has thought to have the idea to have a 504 plan IEP webinar that basically discusses the accommodations as well as how it affects our rare kidney disease kids and young people in their unique ways. So I really wanted to join forces with a bit of a dream team of moms who have at different ages and in different stages really advocated for their kids with rare kidney disease to ensure they got access to proper education that provided both equity as well as ensured that the accommodations were taken seriously by the school. And I have gathered them to share their experiences, both some of their wins and sometimes some of the challenges that unfortunately occur in this process, as well as we'll discuss mental health. Going back to school, as someone who's gone back and back and back again, I'll tell you, it is a mental health journey. So I can only imagine being a rare kidney disease patient. So we wanted to really focus on how mental health also affects the young people with rare kidney disease while re-emerging in the school system, especially post-COVID, as you probably imagine has its difficulties. So I'll start first by having my panelists introduce themselves. First, Marie Carpenter.
Okay. Hi, I'm Marie Carpenter. I live outside Chicago in Skokie, Illinois, and I have a 15-year-old who is a sophomore in high school, and he's been diagnosed with FSGS. And this past summer, he also had rhabdomyolysis. I don't want to go into too long into it, but he was hospitalized several times. And after that, along with the FSGS, we decided to go for a 504 plan at his high school. And that's all I'll say about that.
You're going to say a lot later, Marie. Hi, Sherry.
Hi. I'm Sherry Hammers. I have a daughter who's now 25. She has FSGS. She was diagnosed at 11. So we've been through the school system and through college. So yeah, she's 25 now. She's been in remission since she was 17.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, she went into remission and she stayed there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Becca?
Hi guys, my name is Becca and I have a 13-year-old daughter whose name is Bria, and she was diagnosed with IgA nephropathy, also here called IgAN. With IgAN, it came with a ton more other diagnoses. She's got the nephrotic syndrome, and then she was also hospitalized last year for the school year, probably a whole semester, it seemed like. So she did lose a lot of time last year, and this year she's back in school, and we're going in to this 2023-2024 school year with a mission and getting her ready for high school. We live in Albuquerque, Mexico.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you. And Bria's amazing. She is so resilient. Thank you so much. Patricia?
Hi, my name is Trish Curran. We're in Nebraska, Omaha. We just moved here. Our DJ was diagnosed with minimal change disease, nephrotic syndrome in April of last year. we just got the diagnosis of FSGS as of March of this year. And unfortunately, he's had a really hard time. And he is not responding to any medication. So we are going to be heading towards dialysis and transplant. He's had a lot of ups and downs. He is ecstatic. I was able to get him into a school that is completely and totally working with him this year. He missed 26 out of 52 days for his first semester or first quarter last year. So we had a horrible journey with that school. We ended up having him homebound learning because of it. And it was just a really rough road, but he's ecstatic. He gets his senior year in school. We are determined, and that has helped him tremendously emotionally.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you. So I want to start out first by just quickly, this is not all completely inclusive of the full descriptions of both plans. People often use 504 plan and IEP interchangeably, but there are key differences. So I want to make sure that before we start the discussion of accommodations of 504 plans and mental health, that we I first give a short definition of each, okay? So an IEP is an individualized education program. And with an IEP must contain information about the child and the specific and unique educational program designed to meet their needs. The document includes the child's present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. So it focuses on measurable annual goals, progress supporting, special education related services, and supplemental aids and services, program modifications, and accommodation supports. Least restrictive environment statement, participation in state and district-wide tests, description of service delivery, and post-secondary transition components. Whereas the 504 plan does not typically include goals and objectives and are reviewed periodically based on the need. The rule of thumb for most states is every 3 years. But parents have the right to request a meeting to discuss the plan more often if they feel the need. A 504 plan is covered under Section 504 of the Rehab Act, which is a civil rights law that ensures an individual cannot be discriminated against due to their disability. These plans provide support and accommodations, but do not include goals and objectives, as I just said. So those are some very just basic base level differences. There's more technicalities that come into it, but I just want to make sure that first we kind of just get a general understanding of just the difference, the key difference of the two. So to start our questions, I hope y'all are ready.
Hope so.
No, you'll be fine. First question. This question is going to be for Becca, Patricia, and Sherry. Please describe your experience thus far with 504 plans or IEPs at this junction of your child's education. We can start with Becca. I think you're mute. Looks like you're trying to fix it. You want to go ahead, Trish, while Becca tries to figure hers out?
Sure. The first, excuse me, the first school was a mix. The first semester that we had to deal with this was the spring semester, and that principal was absolutely wonderful. He excused everything that we needed, and he made sure that his teachers were on top of it, making sure that DJ had access to tutors and giving him extra time, all of that. We ended up having a change in leadership
Mm-hmm.
the fall semester last year. And that was absolutely horrible. Attendance was king. They understood, but they didn't really. 26 days was just too much for them. By Halloween, they told me if he missed one more class, not even one more day, one more class, he would not be receiving credit for his classes, even if he passed them with flying colors. So we ended up doing homebound learning. He lost all of his elective credits. We just had his core classes. The teachers weren't even giving him the attention that a normal student would have gotten. I had to fight for them to do anything. Give him the assignments, grade the assignments, put them in the computer. Those basic things weren't even being met. So we struggled through until the end of the semester so that he could keep those credits. And then he ended up online, which it was not a good program that they gave us for the online class. He did not thrive at all. He hated school. He was depressed. He was just hating life in general. And it
Sure.
affected his health.
Of
So
course.
we struggled through it. We made the change from Colorado Springs to Omaha. We visited out here several times. I met with the schools to make sure that I was going to be in the correct school district so that we could keep him taken care of. And it has been such a blessing because these people, they said basically, we don't care if he comes once a month, if he puts in the work, if he puts in the effort, we're going to work with him.
That's amazing, Trish. I know your journey has been one that's been extremely difficult with past school. So I can only imagine. I'm sure it's been more than that, but I'm happy that this has come about. I think the Nebraska move was probably a great idea for you and your family. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, we had a lot of talks back then.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of dinner days. We're on the phone constantly, but I mean, we got through it, and more importantly, DJ did. So thank goodness. What about you, Sherry?
We didn't have too much problems with Amber in the school. In the very, very beginning, like very, very beginning, when she first got diagnosed, she was out of school for a couple of weeks. And that was really just overcautious mom. And yeah, I got a call from the principal who said I needed to come in and talk to him. So I went in, I talked to him. He said she needed to be in school. She couldn't miss any more days, and it had been about 2 weeks. So reluctantly or hesitantly, I did send her back to school and just had good communication with the principal and the school. And I knew, people had mentioned the 504 plan, but I didn't think we really needed that. And at the time, I really didn't care. They could do whatever. I really didn't care what they were going to do. Wasn't too concerned about school. So, but it all worked out. We didn't have a problem with the school. They did get her homework, or anytime she was out in the hospital, she usually would just go in for like a few days.
Sure.
They would give her homework. There was only one teacher that took her work as a day late, and she got an A on it. Amber was a pretty straight A student. She got an A, but she gave her a B because she said it was late. And I fought that all the way up. I was ready to go, the president of the whole United States, we're going to get an A on this. And it was just a stupid paper.
I don't blame you.
But I went with that because, I mean, the teacher even said, yep, so she got it was all right, but she gave her a B, and I was not taking that. And neither was Amber. So,
That's good though. That tenacity is needed, especially throughout this process. But it's also good to hear that your experience wasn't negatively completely, and that you had seemingly people in your corner as far as school goes.
it wasn't negative. The
That's
school
good.
just cooperated. I don't know
Yeah.
if they were really in our corner, but they just cooperated. They just went along. They had a good student and they wanted to help her, and I didn't really feel like anybody was fighting against us, so we didn't put the 504 in place. And we didn't because we didn't have a problem, but also because I didn't want to file paperwork. Too much work. I didn't feel like dealing with that. I could just deal with it myself.
Sure.
But
Understandably.
I would recommend that people do it.
Uh, Becca, can you unmute at this time? Are you able to?
I
Great.
can, thank you. I was clicking
Hey,
screen and I was just like, where is it?
Technology.
Um, we have Bria's first diagnosed when she was in 4th grade. So we've transitioned schools twice, and from elementary to middle, and then from middle we transferred her back to a different middle school. I feel like each year I've gotten more confident with this 504 plan. In the beginning, I felt like in elementary school, the teachers weren't as not willing to help, but they were like, we're gonna do whatever you need to help Bria. And I said, okay, they've recommended having a 504 plan for her, because obviously during the winter months, she can't be forced outside to go to recess when it's cold because that triggers
Sure.
her IGA.
Sure.
So I would need them to have an option for her to go hang out either in the nurse's office or in the front office on cold winter days. I had this huge perka jacket for her, which she refused to wear. She's like, I'm not wearing that. I'm like, well, the cold triggers your disease.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing in elementary school. And then when we were transferring to middle school, I was like, okay, is everything just gonna follow her? How does this work? No one really guided me on the process through our district. And I'm assuming each district is probably having different rules and
Sure.
regulations for 504 plans. So we get to middle school and they're like, Miss Garcia, there's no 504 plan. And I'm like, wait, what? For a year and a half, you've told me we had a 504 plan. They're like, no, she doesn't have a 504 plan in place. She just had a medical statement put in her
Yeah.
file. So I think what happens is a lot of people, there's a lot of paperwork that comes with 504 plans. And I get teachers are exhausted, but they don't want to do the work that our kids need. And so when I got to the middle school, it was starting from square one, having to put this plan in place for her. As her disease got worse, she got restrictions on her diet, you know, making sure that the teachers knew what Bria was dealing with, because physically and visibly, she didn't look like she was fighting an illness. That's what so hard about any rare kidney diseases. Our kids look like normal kids at
You're
times.
so right. You're so right.
There's nothing they don't lose their hair, they're not disabled, they can walk, she looks like a normal kid. So, and I get it from an outsider's perspective, they're thinking this kid looks normal, but her middle school, I remember they had restrictions on how many bathroom breaks the kids could take per day. And I was like, wait a minute, if my kid needs to use the bathroom, you have to allow her to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
As silly as that sounds, making that be put in place. And just as the years have gone on, I feel like I've gotten more confident each year on getting what needs to be done.
You've done a great job, Becca. I've witnessed that. I think.
You were a big help this year.
Thank you. Thank you. You're incredible. So yeah, thank you. Thank you all. I really think it's important that we all know too that I've been very lucky and very blessed to encounter some teachers recently that have been very much so on board. They just sometimes need the education of rare kidney disease. So, I mean, we do find those, and we want to make sure we keep those in our pockets, especially during these times, especially during this season as we go back to school. So, yeah, but thank you all for that. Our second question, just for Becca and Trish really quickly, how has the challenges that often take place while completing 504 plans or IEPs affected your family's mental and emotional health? Trish, you want to kick us off real quick?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, last year was really hard. We had a lot of stress in the house, and we were also worried about DJ and trying to support him, but at the same time trying to support my daughter because, of course, she was in the same school, so she was affected by it. We ended up having to transfer her out of that school because they were treating her differently, just as overcompensating. So we transferred her. It's just a really hard thing. But on the flip side, now we've got less stress when it comes to education because we have the support.
That's
And
amazing.
as these people, I was expecting like 15 minutes of an introduction to the school counselor, and I ended up with 3 people in the office with me asking the questions and wanting to be educated and giving suggestions on what they could do to support DJ and to support my daughter.
That's
Because,
incredible.
yeah, I can't say enough.
Especially to include her as the child who may not have the rare kidney disease, but honestly, seemingly affected by it because of her being the same home and also that being her sibling that she's seemingly very protective of.
Yes, very
Yeah.
protective.
Becca, what about you?
So I feel like at times it can be very exhausting. It's very time consuming as well. Getting the administrative staff to like listen to you and direct you to the right person. I also feel like sometimes it's testing my patience because I'm like, did anyone listen to me? Like, are you listening to what I'm saying? I sometimes feel like they overlook, her disease and her needs. And sometimes it's like they don't worry about it, like I'm worrying about it. And I just don't want her to fall behind or miss out on what she needs to excel in the future. So, I feel like I'm that parent that you don't make the noise, like squeaky wheel gets the oil. If I were to just sit back and not say anything, they would be okay with my daughter slipping through the cracks. And I'm not okay with that.
You're not, and I think that's amazing. I think one thing you all have in common, even reading Sherry's emails and watching Marie in action as well as Trish, is that you all fight hard for your children, and I don't blame you whatsoever. I feel like I'm surrounded always by, when I'm around our parents, I feel like I'm around a bunch of social workers. So I feel like I'm almost in a break room talking about everything when I'm with you all, because you all are the best advocates. So yeah, thank you, Becca. Our third question, this one for Marie and Sherry. What are some coping skills, strategies that you feel like help you as a parent in working with school officials to advocate for your child? Marie?
Coping strategies?
Yeah, coping skills that basically help you. I know it can be stressful or even upsetting, or maybe sometimes not, but what do you do? It's still more work. I mean, you work and you have your child. So yeah, what coping skills and strategies do you use?
So I relate a lot to Becca. I believe that, I have a pretty good understanding of how schools work because I don't think you know this, Montrez, but my I was a speech language pathologist for many, many, many years.
I didn't know that.
Many IEP meetings, so it's just different being on the other side as a parent.
Oh, wow,
But,
I didn't know that at all.
what's stressful is back of the implementation of things. Because the meetings can, I mean, sometimes they don't always go well, but it's making sure that the implementation occurs. And that's the part that can be very stressful. And it is a lot of work, because you're absolutely correct. If there isn't if you're not a strong advocate, then nothing will happen. It's hard to make people follow up unless you really develop a relationship with the people, and they get to know you. And sometimes the squeaky wheel absolutely gets the grease. That is for sure. And so it does make a difference on how active you are. And the school knowing that you're going to be active also makes a difference. But it can be very, very stressful. Coping it can be really, really hard. Sometimes it feels lonely because I feel like there's no one else to talk to about what my son is going through, because he looks well. And there's not that many people that have FSGS. So when I tell people, most of the time, almost 100% of the time, it's like, what's that? And I have to explain. So, I've been really trying to do more self-care, I guess is the way that I've been coping.
Sure.
And really trying to do things for myself, because if I'm not well emotionally, then it's hard to offer anything to my son. So, and even for our family, but I just cannot. It's hard because it feels like everything is on your shoulders. It's a lot to manage, doctor's appointments and, just everything. So I'm trying to make an effort to really do more self-care, because then I feel better. So, trying to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and maybe watch something on TV that I think I'm going to really enjoy, or read a book, or just something, or maybe go to Starbucks, but just something that I do that's just for me and no one else. And that's helping me to do that. It's just hard to find time, but I'm really trying to do something regularly so that I feel better.
I'm so proud of you, Marie. I'm so proud of you. I am just I'm like gleaming. I'm so proud of you. Because I know I can only imagine how difficult it's been for you. And I know from, how hard it's been for you. And I'm so happy to hear that you're trying to take care of yourself and cope with this so that you can, in turn, of course, be there for your family. So
yeah,
I'm very happy for you that you're taking those steps.
Thank you. Well, you've been a big help too, a huge help.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Sherry, how about you? What coping skills did you use when fighting with the college?
Well, it wasn't with fighting with the college. Going back to elementary school,
Sure.
I hear Marie talking, and I know that I wrote you just like a couple sentences that we didn't deal. I mean, we didn't have any issues or anything, but Marie's answer was the way you're supposed to deal with it. We didn't, coping skills, I really didn't care at the time. I went into the school, there wasn't anything. I didn't have Nephcure. Nobody had ever had heard of FSGS. Nobody's kids were sick that you talk to. You feel like you're the only one, and they don't understand. But so I didn't have coping skills. I just knew that I'm going to get done what I want to get done. And if they don't want to do it, well, that's too bad. My focus was not on anybody else, and I didn't care what they thought. So going in, I talked to the principal, and you do feel hopeless as a parent. So I talked with the doctor, I talked with the doctor's nurse. That was my coping skills. But Marie's answer is the answer. You're supposed to spend time, take care of yourself and do all that. I didn't do that. I didn't care about anything.
Thanks for your honesty, Sherry. There's a lot of us out there. So I definitely understand and relate to the answer. So yeah, thank you for that. Our next question. This one's gonna be for Trish, Marie, and Becca. Could the three of you give us one essential accommodation that you have ensured that's in your child's 504 plan or IEP plan, and why this one was so important for you to make sure that it was in there? So you want to start out, Trish? What's one that you've ensured that DJ has written into his 504 plan, and why?
It's all about time with him. Time to be able to spend on testing and to be able to have extra time to be able to turn in assignments, travel time in between classes. Yeah, it's all of that has to do with time. Understanding for his time off. I really don't think we're gonna have too much of a problem there this time. Time will tell with the teachers whether or not they're gonna truly understand, but it seems like we've got a good set of teachers so far. And getting him to have time with somebody to help him if he misses enough, say for his science class. He could possibly need tutors. It's been a lot, but the time is what bit us last year. So I made sure that all of that was incorporated this year.
That's very smart, Trish. Yeah, that's really smart. So timing for DJ, and understandably. What about you, Marie? What's the one thing you've ensured that is written to Ethan's 504 plan, and why is it essential?
Well, time also, because I remember last year I was picking him up early or dropping him off late because of doctor's appointments, and so he missed class time. And so what happened is that he wouldn't know what was going on, and it created a problem for him. So I really wanted to make sure that if he misses something, there's an ability for him to be able to get the information, so he doesn't fall behind. And the other thing is he has a nurse's pass now, which I really wanted to put in because I don't want the bathroom to be an issue at all. I wanted to be able to be well hydrated and to be able to have his water bottle and be able to fill that water bottle, go to the bathroom whenever he needs to. And some teachers are great about that, but at high school, they're very like, you can't be running in and out of the bathroom, and that there's that kind of attitude. And I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable about it one bit. So they gave him a special nurse's pass that's yellow. And whenever teachers see that, they know that he can come and go as he pleases as far as the bathroom. So that's not an issue. So that was just really important because I know that one of the things is he has to stay hydrated. Sure. And I just didn't want that to be a problem for him. So, but yeah, time and the hydration.
Really was, Mary.
There are other things, but that's one. I'm not trying to go in. I won't take up too much time.
No, you're fine. Thank you. Becca, what's the most essential seemingly for Bria, and why?
I would say the most essential is like when she's having an active flare-up, that she's allowed. So nephrotic syndrome, if anyone knows what happens, is that you just get really swollen and you retain a lot of water. Sometimes she can gain like up to 30 pounds extra like water weight. And so it's really hard for her to walk around, and her campus is really big. So one of our accommodations is that like she leaves like 2 minutes before the bell rings if she has a class on the other side of the campus. So on top of her kidney disease, she has high blood pressure. So she also has access to go to the nurse at any point in time. We communicate this on like the open house nights, like, hey, are you familiar with what Bria has going on? Like, these are her options for her 504 plan. And we just introduce them to each teacher, because if Bria just gets up and leaves, it's because something's wrong. You know what I mean? It's not because she's going out in the hallways and like hanging out and twiddling her thumbs. You know what I mean? She's not feeling good. She's dizzy. There's been times where the nurses have to be called up to like wheel her down because her nephrotic syndrome was so bad. She was so far away. She was not gonna get up and walk to the nurse's office. So those accommodations, and believe it or not, in middle school here in New Mexico, our school doesn't have lockers. So you can imagine she has to carry all her books around with her, her
Mhm.
laptop. Her backpack weighed, I think it was like 29 pounds. The nurse weighed it. And so that's another thing is large large books that they were able to be left in that teacher's classroom for
Yeah.
Bria. So she didn't have to like lug her belongings all around campus all day long. It's hard on her body. So making sure she had that, and again, the access to bathroom and water. I find it so silly that like educators put a limit on our kids. And I'm like, that's so bad for kids and their health. How can you like limit children to using the restroom and drinking water? That is not, they're not good habits to develop at a young age.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely, I think you both kind of, Marie and Becca, especially, I think y'all answered my next question, which was in turn, a new school year can be challenging for any child student. Well, sorry, no, that's not next. My next question is, what are some accommodations that you feel are specific, unique, and needed for our rare kidney disease children? And what I'm hearing you all say as a collective, especially Trish, Marie, and Becca, is time, as well as hydration, seemingly is very important. Am I right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, could you all give me, Marie, what are some other, I know you want to go more in depth, so that's why I was okay with you like kind of cutting yourself short, because I know I was gonna make you loop back around. What is some other accommodations that you think are unique to Ethan's diagnosis?
Well, he also got well, he just said he didn't get the elevator key. I have to check on that. He was supposed to get an elevator key because if he ever feels like he is at the school that he attends, the high school is a huge high school. There's like maybe 4,000 kids. And so it's a big, big place. And so if he ever feels weakness or like he's just too tired, sometimes at the end of the day, he seemed to be kind of tired. They said that they would give him an elevator key so that if he wants to take the elevator instead of the stairs, he has that option to do that. So we put that in. Actually, they're the ones who said that. I didn't even know that the high school had an elevator, to be honest with you. So I was glad that they recommended that and said that. I said, okay, great. Assessments was another big thing, because the PSAT in the spring, like the SAT, but it's like a preparation for sophomores before they go into junior year. I wanted to be able to make sure that he had accommodations for that so that if he felt tired, he could have extended time. If he felt distracted or not focused because of meds, sometimes he has trouble with that, that he could have the time that he needs so that the playing field is level. That's what I really always think in the back of my mind. I want to make sure that the playing field is level. He has the same opportunity as any other kid. So that's why he needs the accommodations. And then so even if it's a class assignment, an assessment, I'm sorry, and just in their classroom, a regular test, if he is not feeling well, that can be rescheduled. We put that in his 504 plan as well. If he feels like on a day that he can't do it. And so they said, so that's not going to be a problem. They agreed to that. And I talked about this before, more time to submit assignments, because it's the same kind of thing. They give you a grace period of like 1 or 2 days, but he's getting an additional 2 days if he misses assignments.
That's great.
That is not penalized because he turned it in late. I was thinking about what you were saying, Sherry, before with your daughter. They know that if he needs the extra 2 days, then they'll provide that for him if he needs it. And then we did have some PE restrictions, but I'm hoping that will change soon when he's ready, when he can be more active. And they didn't have any problems with that either. They agreed to that.
That's great.
So,
That's great.
yeah.
I hope it continues to be positive, Maria. It sounds like it's going really well so far.
So far, yeah. The other thing, I always worry about implementation, and I always worry, okay, we had this meeting. The meeting went well. Montrez, thank you so much for being there and helping out. And
Of course.
especially the part about, and Becca, you brought this up, is your kid looks like they're fine. And it's important that everyone understands just because they look fine on the outside doesn't mean that on the inside there isn't stuff going on, you know. So Montrez did a really nice job of explaining that to the team. So I really appreciated that, because I think that makes a difference. People need to understand that. Well, what I was going to say is, with implementation, you know, you have like a day or two later, I waited. I said, let me see if this is going to get, if I'm going to hear from anyone, because they said to me, all the teachers will be notified. So I waited a couple days. On the second day, I got an email from the PE teacher asking about the restriction. And I was like, yes, they actually got the word out.
Communication, yes.
They paid it, because she had a really nice email saying, I understand there are these restrictions. And, you know, so anyway, I felt like, okay, they know.
Sure.
So that's really important, the follow-up.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. And you did a great job yourself. So thank you so much. I think I hope that everything continues to go swimmingly like it is. My next question is going to be for Sherry. And Sherry, basically, can you describe what accommodations look like at the collegiate level? Of course, specifically with your daughter. And what insight can you give us to help prepare those parents with youth that are entering college?
Okay, the very first thing is going to be to contact the college and get in touch with at Michigan State, they call it the RCPD department, Resource Center for Persons with Disabilities. I had never heard of it when Amber went there, so we didn't do that again. You know, you're talking to the one that didn't have the 504 in place. So when she went off to college, of course, we were concerned about being in dorms and, you know, living in close contact with all of those people. And it all started because she wanted to be in a dorm room on the west side of campus. She went to Michigan State University on the west side of campus, because it was close to her brother, and it was close to they had the largest cafeteria there, because they have cafeterias all over campus. Michigan State has like 50,000 plus students. So she really wanted to be in that dorm. But by the time it was her chance to choose the dorm room, there weren't any dorm rooms available left there. And she was, her choice was to go to the east side of campus, which is a mile away. And they have cafeterias there too. It's just that the largest cafeteria is on the west side of campus. And, you know, she was all disappointed, and I was disappointed because she was disappointed, and telling her brother, who also went there, he was a senior. And he said, contact the RCPD department. And I said, that's not going to do anything. I mean, the dorms are full. And he said, well, he's seen them for other friends do wonders, things that you never thought that they could do. So, okay, I called them, I made an appointment, we got a counselor. We went in and talked to him, and there's so many benefits that are available for people with any kind of disability, even asthma, all the way to asthma, or, I mean, I don't know, I'm not saying that asthma is low, but in my opinion, it's lower than FSGS. And even just people with asthma, they can have air conditioners put in their room.
Oh, wow.
That the university will put in for them, because people with asthma, they need to have they can't be in a hot, humid room.
Sure.
And in Michigan here, it does get hot, not as hot as Atlanta, but it does get hot. In the beginning of school. So he suggested all kinds of things, and he was our contact. So you get a counselor, you're assigned a counselor. If she would have ended up in the hospital, or if she would have been out of school for a bit, there's only one person that I needed to contact, and that was him, or that she needed to contact. And that's another thing that we did, is we put, you know, that thing that you sign with your doctors when they're young, so that they can give, so that they, when they're like 18, so that you can gain access, you can talk to
Sure.
the doctor.
Yeah.
I got that from the college too. I was like, okay, what does she need to sign so that we can talk,
So
so
you can
that
have
you can tell
access
me
as well.
information?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. So, the one person, so the counselor, you just have to contact one person. If she's in the hospital, you contact that one person, and they'll contact the classes for you. They really are your helper. We never had to contact, I mean, she never ended up in the hospital. But another benefit is at Michigan State, freshmen are not allowed to have cars because there's not enough places to park them.
Mhm.
But people in the RCPD department, if you have a reason to need a car, such as a doctor's appointment, because we live an hour from Michigan State, and her doctor was in Detroit, which is an hour from here. So it was a 2-hour drive, and you can only have, I believe it was Wednesdays. That's when they had their clinicals. The
Yeah.
nephrology had the clinicals. So she was able to have a car. She didn't need it because she used her brother's, but that was another reason why she wanted to have that dorm room. And suddenly dorm rooms became available. Like, they put her in that dorm that she wanted to be in.
That's
She could
incredible.
meet, she could meet with the, and this was all told to me by the counselor, she could meet with the dietitian at the school, and she could have the menu at the, you know, it's buffet style.
Hmm.
It's a huge buffet, like, I mean, the cafeteria that she wanted is huge. It's like, it has like 9 different stations, you know, home style and all those different Italian, all those different kinds of food stations. And she could meet with the dietitian and have the menu ahead of time so that she could make her choices. She could also request, because she had the menu, I think it was a week ahead of time, maybe it was longer. She also could request, like, if they were having chicken cacciatore or chicken whatever, you know, because she could see everything that was on the menu, she could order hers to be made without any seasoning or special. So if they were having
That's
chicken, then she could just
amazing.
say, I just want my chicken grilled. I don't want anything on it, and I don't want the cacciatore stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
And then they would have her, she had to give them a time of when she would be in for dinner, like an hour time. She couldn't just stop in. So they needed to know when to have it ready. So
Sharon, will you tell us too? That's incredible. I want you to repeat that acronym. It's the RCPD. You said, what's it called?
RCPD.
Can you tell us what that stands for again, just for everyone who's on the call?
Yes.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but that's really good.
It's,
You've
oh,
shared
that's
some
okay.
really good
It's
information.
the Resource Center for Persons with Disabilities.
And I just want to follow up with saying most universities, well, all universities should have this department. It may be called different acronyms, but for anyone on the call with somebody who's entering college, like Trish here, and
it's
anyone else
not
who has,
advertised. It's not
yeah,
advertised. So you don't, like, I never heard of it. You don't see it anywhere. They don't tell you that they have this department. You just have to, you know, I heard about it from my son. So,
especially state universities have them. I'm sure all universities have some sort of department like that. So I want anyone who has a college age child or a young adult, sorry, because I hated being called a child at 18. So a young adult who's entering the collegiate world, to just take a look at your university that or community college, because they all have these departments. They go by numerous different names, and hopefully they are as resourceful as Sherry's Michigan State has been for her daughter. So I really think that every resource you just told us and everything you've told accommodation wise is so beneficial. I'm so happy to hear that you were able to navigate that as well.
and
That department has been
if you
helpful.
miss a go, I'm sorry. I'm real good at interrupting.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
If you miss a test or something like that, the teachers have to, because they're notified. And
Mhm.
they have to do everything that they can to accommodate you to be able to take that test. So when you miss a date, you don't even need to give the teacher a reason why you're missing class.
Sure.
They have to do everything that they can to try to accommodate you. Sometimes it's just not possible to, let's just say it's the final exam. I mean, you have to take your final exam by the time that the next semester starts. So some things are just not possible.
Sure.
And I also believe that you may have, and I can't remember because it's been a while, but you may have some recourse if you can't finish the semester for some reason.
Thank you, Sherry. That definitely lays some hope into the conversation when it comes to school accommodations and 504 plans. So I'm going to have one more question for our panelists, and then we're going to give some time for our audience to ask us some questions. And I want to throw a bit of a curveball at y'all. So this question's for everyone, really quickly. I want to know, what is your biggest hope for your child? Trish?
Well, gonna be a little emotional.
I know.
I want him to live life to the fullest. Because when school was taken away from him, that wasn't just school, that was socialization. He lost friends. He had a lot of emotional things happen. And just since this disease came into our lives, we had so much that was taken away from us last summer. We had a rock star summer planned and none of it was able to happen. So I am trying to find as many even little things to do with him and to think about. We're doing Make-A-Wish. I'm so excited for him. But just to have him live life to the fullest and to be able to hope for the future. Because right now we're in a place where we have no idea where that is going to lead us. Yeah, just to live life.
That's a understandable hope. And you are in our thoughts, Trish. You know, we are with you here at NephCure. I feel like you're part of our family. So I really do hope the best for you as well as for DJ as well, of course. Marie?
Remission. I think about that a lot. It's just so much uncertainty in the future. Besides that, I want him to be able to continue to do the things that he loves. He loves playing baseball. And I want him to be able to continue to do that and continue to set goals for himself, all the things that make him happy, the things that he has a desire to do. I really, really want him to be able to do those things. This summer too, for us was, it's hard when unexpected things happen, because as you said, Trish, that it throws curveballs into your plan. But I really work hard to try to keep things as normal as possible. And I do think the little things do make a difference. I do. So I don't know. Did I answer your question? Because it does make me feel
Marie.
emotional. I'm also feeling, it's kind of hard. But
Yeah.
I wish that I could know more about what the future holds.
You definitely answered it. I know how much Ethan loves baseball, and I share that hope with you. I hope you know that. So yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marie. Becca, what's your biggest hope for Bria?
My biggest hope for Bria, she was asked a question this summer in DC. What was the most difficult thing about her disease? And her answer, believe it or not, was not being the person she used to be. So my hope for her is to realize that she still is that person. She's still that girl. And having her have the confidence in herself and her voice, and to be able to grow and advocate for herself so that when she's an adult or if I'm not around, like I want her to be confident in everything that she does and just know that like her disease did not change her. It may have put some limits and barriers, but we're gonna overcome them.
Thank you so much, Becca. Thank you. What about you, Sherry? What's your biggest hope for your child?
Just the same as everybody else's, just to live life to the fullest. Amber's in remission. She's been in remission since she was 17. She's 25 now. We don't know we don't know what's in the future. What will happen when she gets pregnant?
Mm,
So I just, you know, I tell people when you find a penny on the ground, you know, some people wish for $1 million, or we always wish for Amber to be healthy. So
mm,
throw it in a fountain, pick that penny up, throw it in a fountain. When you see a rainbow, make a wish.
yeah.
I don't know if it helps, but we do.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you. So at this time, anyone who has a question can, of course, ask us by entering their questions through the chat. I want to start with a question that we got a few minutes ago. Basically says, as I understand it, an IEP is a legal document that must be followed by law. Following a 504 plan is at the discretion of the school. Is this correct? So somewhat, IEP is definitely protected by the law. But a 504 plan is also something that is protected and should be honored as well. Just because both work to ensure that people have equal access to education and that accommodations are made. Just the IEP is often laced with goals and objectives and really focus on achievement, as well as, whereas 504 plans aren't so much focused on that as they are more focused on the actual accommodations, but both really work hard to, well, both should, ideally. I'm sure some of you all can understand that sometimes that may not be the case, considering different experiences, but ideally, they really should ensure that children get, and young people in general, have equal access to education. You're welcome. You're so welcome, Ellen. Anyone else? Or anyone have a comment in our audience? Let's see. So I was sent something by a parent who happens to be a teacher and also has a child too with rare kidney disease. And what they really want to emphasize is that communication is key, as well as it's essential that that parents provide necessary documentation and ensure that medical proof is there, mostly for legal purposes, but also understanding. I've been in a few 504 plan meetings where I've shared links to what IGAN is really broken down, as well as what FSG is really broken down. And you can tell the faces by some of the people who are reading these documents, or some of the emails I get following up with some of them, basically saying, not only thank you, but also really, you really in that moment, it's a great moment, but it's also kind of bittersweet because it's like they really had no idea what this was. They thought that the family possibly just wanted an accommodation, but a lot of times they just don't know. And so sometimes they can't help you advocate for your child based on them just not knowing. And so I think accompanied with being a strong advocate, also I hate to place this on you all as well as an obligation, but I think also giving a bit of education may also help empower you when it comes to that moment, or empower that movement for your child and make you even more activated, so that they understand that though my child may not be on chemo or may not look ill, this is what IgAN is. This is what FSGS is. These are the symptoms. That's a big and important thing to have probably in your back pocket when going to these 504 plan meetings and these IEP meetings. Ellen, would you recommend that a child with rare kidney disease start kindergarten a year late if given the opportunity? I'm very cautious about giving personalized advice like that. One, because I think it depends on the circumstance and the child. I really would look into really getting that child's medical team together. That including maybe, I don't know if you have a dietitian, but having most insurance plans will cover that. But not only a nephrologist, but also a dietitian, and discussing is a bit of a cohort, what is best for that child moving forward. Because I think medically, let's ensure that kindergarten is possible. It could be given the correct accommodations or the best accommodations. But yeah, what I would recommend is, I would not say yay or nay to that. I would recommend that you get as much knowledge as possible from the medical team, as well as any of the services you may have in place, social services as well, to ensure that kindergarten is something that can be completed or at least started with the correct accommodations. So that's my unbiased advice. Next. Hello, my daughter doesn't have a 504 and just started college. She was placed in a dorm that is farthest from the cafeteria and her classes. Her room is on the first floor in a high traffic area. Her bathroom is accessible to the entire building. I need to word my letter the best way possible. Can you help wording with what I need to ask for? We would like to move her to a smaller dorm. She has taken Tacro and has minimal change. So yes, I think you're on the right, I think you're definitely taking the right steps on the right path. Sherry, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, talk to the RCPD department. Another thing that they offered Amber, and she didn't want to take it because she wanted to have her roommate. It was her soccer friend. She could have had her own room at the same cost as a shared room. So it won't cost you anything more to get your own room. They try and accommodate all of your needs. Amber was, at the time, she wasn't immune compromised, but she could have been. So even at the time that I was talking to the RCBD department, to the counselor, I mean, they make all kinds of suggestions for you. It's all positive stuff. They are really, really on your side. But she could have had her own, a single room all by herself, and it wouldn't have cost anything more.
Thank you, Sherry. And also to that person as well, one thing I'll do as well is add my email address here. And if you do feel like you hit a bit of a roadblock with wording this, you can always reach out and we can pair together. My unbiased, well, maybe biased advice is to always call for a meeting. I'm a big, let's have a meeting, let's build a rapport, and let's start talking about what needs to be done. So I would advise as well, getting with your child and starting to ensure that a meeting is in place for you, the student, and with the RCPD or whatever it's called at your particular university or community college. Becca?
I just want to note that if people are struggling to get that meeting, email Marquez. Email him, because his email, believe it or not, is very fancy, and we'll get a response.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you so much. I'm going to put my name and title in there as well so everyone has it so that they can use.
Can I add something?
Sure, Marie, please.
To the parent with the kindergartner, almost kindergarten, you can always make an appointment with the school that your child would be going to and just ask to talk to either the principal or the school psychologist, who are probably the principal. It's going to be different in every school, but just to sit down and find out what the expectations are going to be like for a kindergarten student. You know, how much walking are they going to have to do? Just what is a day in the life like?
That's
You can
so
explain
wise.
your situation, explain what the situation is, and ask them what is a day in the life like for a kindergarten student. Then you can take that information back to your medical team, and they can help you make a decision on whether your child should go on or not. But parents do that. You know, they do that all the time. It's not a big deal. Definitely what Becca said, put everything in writing. People respond when stuff is in writing. If you just ask verbally, it doesn't exist. Anybody can say it didn't happen, but you have to address it if it's in writing. But that's just something that I think, you know, would be helpful to the parent with the kindergarten.
Thank you so much, Marie.
Sure.
I'm so sorry. If I had that in kindergarten too, as of right now, I would also be communicating with the administration and the teachers and making sure that that kindergarten year is going to be the best year, because that's their first taste of school. You want loving school and hungry to learn. Like, have a good plan for your child so that the rest of their years are going to be just flourishing and they love school. Like, that's what we want our kids to love, is school and learning.
And then I would ask for a tour too, because then that way you can really see, you're going to see the kindergartners, you're going to see the teachers, you're going to get a feel for what that school is like. And like as people ask, it's not a problem at all. You're a prospective parent and you're interested in getting a tour of the school. And I can't imagine them turning you down, but I don't see any reason for it. I think that's what I would do, but it just gives you more information about the place that you would be sending your child to if you make that decision.
I agree with Marie completely. And also, like I said before, I think building rapport is the biggest thing in this. It also helps build rapport. Those teachers, oftentimes I've worked with a great deal of teachers throughout my career in different sectors, mainly with kids with autism. And one thing they like is buy-in from the parents and visibility. They really like to know that they had buy-in. And so they feel more comfortable being transparent with you, and you feel more comfortable being transparent with them regarding your child's needs once you kind of get to know them and really set that face work into place. So yes. And we can take another one. Go ahead, Trish.
Sorry, I was reading about the first question that we had, the difference between the IEP and the 504.
Sure.
Just wanted to clarify, 504 is an actual law, and they are legally bound to abide by that. It is not at the discretion of the school, and it is not at the discretion of their school whether or not they make a 504 or an IEP. I went through round and round with the first school about this. They are required, especially if it's their neighborhood school, they are required to give accommodations, and you can stand on their toes until they do it.
Yes, that is very important. It is under Section 504 of the Rehab Act. So thank you for double downing on that, Trish. Thank you so much and especially for the parent who asked about that.
Nutrition is part of 504 plan too. If it is your neighboring school, like, believe it or not, the nutritionist at our university said, hey, did you know that they have to provide Bria with a low sodium, low potassium diet? And I was like, wait a minute, we've been packing our lunches every day. And we all know how expensive food is. They accommodate your kid and the diet. So you just got to ask. Sometimes
Thank you, Becca.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
Thinking about that.
What are you going to say, Trish?
I was just saying thank you, because I didn't even think about that at this school, because they said that they weren't comfortable with it because they knew that it was drenched in sodium. So yeah, totally, food is a big thing, especially
it's funded by the federal government. If like you're getting like federally funded like lunches, it's from a totally different area.
Huh. Good to
Low
know.
sodium, potassium.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you both. So I want to end by saying thank you to all our panelists. Thank you for your bravery and your courage. I'm certain that it's not the most comfortable thing to raise your hand to do. Some are probably more comfortable than others, but I really want to thank you all for being so transparent. I hope that this helps someone somewhere that is either in the throes of this process or are new to it, and those who have already kind of ridden the roller coaster and had some great and some hopeful achievements, but also needed some more tips and hopefully learned some things new. And as well as those that are watching or that will watch that are needing assistance with coping strategies, as well as how to move forward mentally and emotionally throughout this process. Thank you all for joining. And I'm so elated that we were able to discuss this. And as you all have access to my email now and my name, please feel free to reach out for any follow-up questions that you may have. This has been recorded, so it'll be posted to our YouTube channel for access to everyone, also Nephcure use as well. Thank you again, and thank you all for joining.
Bye.